My name is Jo Rolls. I'm faculty in the Physician Assistant Division, and I spend a lot of my work both with patients and with students looking at sexual and gender minority factors. And what we did in this study is we looked at the association between a self-identified gender minority status and your likelihood of getting into PA school. So right now there are about 270 PA programs in the country, 95% of which use CASPA, which is a centralized application service. That service has been in place since 2001 and has always allowed people 3 options for gender: male, female, or choose not to disclose. And then in the last cycle, they added 8 gender identity options. So we went from 3 to 8, which also includes female, male, trans male, genderqueer, indigenous and or cultural gender minority, choose to self-describe, or decline to state. So then what we did in this particular study, we looked at the 2020 to 2021 cohort, and we looked at all of the applicants in that cycle, and then, and I think I sent this is my old slide, but that's okay. So we used a logistic regression in order to compare other factors related to applications, so things like their age and their number of programs that they applied to, their GPA, so other factors as well in a logistic regression. What we eventually found is of the 30,000 applicants, there was a non-significant, not statistically significant, but a decreased likelihood of getting into PA school if you identified as a gender minority. And we ran this with both the decline to answer folks as being part of a majority, and then also a secondary analysis where we looked at them as part of a gender minority, and both showed that, because that's a group that's, you can see from my numbers up here, more people chose decline to answer than identified as a gender minority, and so we kind of don't know what to do with that, that group of folks who are self-identifying there. But whichever category we put them in, there is, again, this consistent, statistically not significant, but lower likelihood of matriculation into PA school. So why does this matter at all? Well, a couple things is that gender minority status is a likely underappreciated and under-recognized minority status, both in our general population and then as well as in professional school applicants. And then also for anyone who gets really excited about Gallup polling, Gen Z, which is most of our students are about to be our upcoming students, 1 in 5 identify as a sexual or gender minority, and the number of folks identifying as a gender minority, so not cisgender, it has risen from 0.6% to 2.1% of the population. So we're just going to see this group rise and rise and rise that is going to be part of our student population. And then I think a thing that's important in our study that we found out though is that only 0.21% of these PA program applicants self-identified as a gender minority, and that is not reflective of our general population. So are people recloseting in their application to school? Well, yeah, right? So that's happening anyway. But also, is there a pipeline problem for folks who identify as gender minorities in graduate education? And then kind of what are these other things, and are we not prepared for this rising kind of tide of folks who are coming up into our graduate programs? So, and is there equal access in educational options? So that's where we are. What questions do you have for me?
Is self-describe like an open-ended question?
As far as I know, it's an open-ended question. And our numbers weren't super high in that, so it was hard to pull all of that. I mean, I do think that we do want to be really thoughtful, and I know so much of our work is focusing on equity, diversity, and inclusion, and I think we do need to continue to recognize that our spaces that we create are going to impact who is going to apply to our programs. And so all of our work that we're talking about with our university, that spreads across the country, and we need to look at like where do people feel safe applying, and then again, is there a negative repercussion for people for self-disclosing in their application process?